There are costs to travel on a vacation journey. Snacks are needed for the road, continual gasoline fill ups, and even nightly hotel stays. This didn't really thought about much when vacationing. You just think it's just part of it. But on your business journey, the cost of travel needs to be thought out. And the cost I'm talking about is the self development of yourself. Self development is the process of purposely enhancing your character, mindset, and abilities. So, purposely working on yourself through informal and maybe even formal continuing education. With technology, the way it is this day, it's so easy to listen to books, podcasts, training videos, and you can do this as you drive or even work throughout the day. This does cost a little bit of time, maybe a little bit of money, but the payoff is well worth it. I began this self-development journey in 2012. This was started simply just listening to audiobooks and motivational speeches and in interviews from, say, great speakers like Earl Nightingale or Jim Rohn or Les Brown. And I just did that as I drove from job to job. And then it progressed to some formal training and then just personal training, looking online, and then the reading of a variety of books. So reading the required books back in high school was rarely done. I mean, I would just read the back little clip of the book, and then I'd write a story on it. I never even read books back then. And, I definitely didn't read once I got home, besides maybe a hot rod magazine. And I was listening to a motivational speaker, and he said that the average person might read one book a year. And that got me thinking, it's like, man, I'm not even reading the amount of the average person per year, which is, pretty sad. And my thought was, what if I read 2 books a year? Would reading 2 books a year put me at twice the advantage of my competition? Who, they might be reading 1 or maybe even 0 like I did. And then I took it to the next level. What if I read 3, 4, or 5 books? Would this put me 3, 4, or 5 times at an advantage to my competitors and more advantage for me to succeed? So I challenged myself to read 1 book a week. That's right, 52 books. That first goal in 2012, 52 books in a year. And, I started out well, but I failed miserably. But I did read 21 books that year. And then that next year, I tried again. I'm a slow reader, but I put a high bar to see if I could hit it. And even though I failed and continue to fail, I still felt accomplished for reading that many books. Since it was possible that I hadn't read that many books in my entire lifetime before that first year of me starting this journey. So the mark was continually set high each year. I put a high mark, but I failed the mark. But to my surprise, after 5 years, I finished reading my 100th book. This would not include the dozens of worthless books I started and I just bailed on. I couldn't do it. Or even the online articles or trade magazines or just, anything I stumbled upon. And, or not even including like when I was driving, listening to stuff. So this array of books that I had read, had given me knowledge in my area of expertise. And then, I actually went beyond that. I looked in different books on business, money, spirituality, character, leadership, strategy, marketing, sales, entrepreneurship, management, customer service, attitude, work-life balance, and then even several biographies of successful entrepreneurs. So the average person is maybe reading 1 book a year, while I was purposely moving forward, to read as many as I could. And, I knew my competition wasn't doing this. They might have been reading one book a year. So I'm confident that it'll pay off someday. So even if it does not pay off in monetary terms like I wish, I know for sure that the confidence, insight, the knowledge, all that I've gained is worth more than anything can buy. So, reading 100 books might seem like a daunting task for you, but I challenge you to begin your own self-development journey. Even if it's just one more book, one more motivational video, one more education podcast, do more than you did last year, more than you did last month. Do one, then do another. And there'll be a cost to doing this, but the payoff is far beyond the cost. So start your self-development journey today.